I want to thank you all for all the questions that you sent in for the blog that I did. We had a contest and the winner was Margaret Kensley, and she asked about 1031 exchanges. So I've heard of them, obviously, but I decided that this was a question for a real expert. So I've invited Carol Calomiris of the law firm Calomiris and Calomiris and of Settlement Pros to come answer some questions. So welcome, Carol. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Kathi, for having me on your blog. My name is Carol Calomiris. I have a law firm, Calomiris and Calomiris. I also am a settlement attorney with Settlement Professionals here in the District of Columbia. We do closings for Maryland, D.C., and Virginia.
So Carol, you probably haven't heard of a 1031 exchange unless you have some investment property. So what the heck is a 1031 exchange? And I've also heard it called a Starker exchange. Are they the same thing, and what exactly is that?
1031 exchange and Starker exchanges are similar in the fact that they involve transferring property, investment property, and in a way that defers the capital gains taxes. Like-kind or 1031 exchanges can be between two parties or three parties. The Starker exchange is between three parties, where you have an intermediary between the two parties that are exchanging property.
So someone who owns a rental property can exchange a condo for a commercial building?
Yes, so like-kind generally means the same character of property. So in this case, it's real estate for real estate. You can also sell a business and buy another business. That would be an example of a like-kind exchange. But for our purposes in dealing with real estate, we're talking about exchanging real estate for real estate. So that can be unimproved land for a commercial building. That can be a condominium rental for a single family home. They're both real estate, so in that way they're like kind.
Okay. Is there a certain amount of time you have to buy one property when you're selling the other property?
Yes, in order to qualify for the deferred capital gains tax, you would need to sell your property, and from the date of closing, you would have 45 days in which to identify the property you want to exchange. So that means that you would need to look for and actually list by address within 45 days the property that you are going to then purchase with your exchange funds. You have 180 days from closing, so an additional 135 days in which to go to closing on that new property.
Well, I can see why we need a specialist to do this. Is it a special kind of settlement attorney that needs to do the settlement?
No. Now, any settlement company can do the closing for the sale of the property, but the very specific and important piece of information here is that the seller doesn't take control of the funds. In other words, the net proceeds from the sale of your property must go to a third party. We call them an intermediary. That's the Starker exchange. And that company holds the funds until you find your replacement property and settle on that. When you find your replacement property and are going to settlement, the intermediary would then take the funds from the sale of your property and forward it to another closing company that would then close on the purchase of your new property.
Okay. So one more question, Carol. Say I have two inexpensive properties. Can I exchange them for one more expensive property?
Yes, you certainly can. The complexity there will be in the timing. You're going to want to make sure you sell both properties and then purchase the new property within the timelines allowed by the IRS, in which case that you would be able to defer those capital gains. The whole point of a 1031 is that you defer into the future the payment of the tax on the appreciable asset.
Well, as you can see from just listening to Carol, that she is definitely an expert in 1031 exchanges. But in addition to that, she is an awesome attorney, and she's a counselor in the real sense of the word. And that you need help on anything, you just give Carol a call, and I'm going to let her give you her telephone number and her website if you wanted to check her out yourself.
So you may call me at 202-363-1870. And if you'd like to visit my website, it's www.settlementpros.com. please feel free to reach out to me. If you have tax questions, you certainly would want to reach out to an accountant. But if you have questions about doing a 1031 real property exchange, please feel free to contact me.
Carol, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's nothing that I could have answered the question by myself. So thanks for listening. And remember, if you have any questions that you want to ask the expert, give us an email, give us a call, and we will get that expert on YouTube to answer your questions. So thank you very much.